Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream, we work on Django apps and do Python stuff, and we're going to continue on that. We're going to start off with a Python exercise, and then we'll jump into the actual working on the Django application that I'm building. So let's get right to it, and we will get some experience with Python through this exercise program called Exercism, which is available at exercism.org. We've done some of these in the past, as you can see, and we'll just do another one tonight and then jump into some problems to tackle. Hey, Matt, how's it going? It's going well, Zafé. Thank you for joining in. Let's look at the syllabus track and see where we were. So we've been marching through these, and you can see there's a lot of exercises that are available. I'm trying to go through the syllabus top to bottom first, kind of open up some possibilities, and then we can cycle back to the other exercises that should be a little bit harder. And we're on this last area. So we finished off the dictionary stuff last time and opened up these last two branches. So we're going to focus on sets first. Hezo, okay, I'll call you Hezo for short. So this exercise will take a look at sets, and I've not looked at any of these before, so that you kind of get my experience as someone who is not a novice with Python, but is seeing the problem for the first time. So we're hopefully working through my experience set to get a solution for whatever problem is presented to us, and I kind of talk you through what I'm thinking when I'm going through these kind of problems. So the problem we're going to work on is this one called cater waiter, I guess. And we need to get the exercise, and we will bring it in and paste this in. So Exercism includes a command line interface tool that you can use to download exercises, which is really convenient. And so that is now at the cater waiter directory. And we need to get the content from this PyTest file. I don't really want to go too much into why. Short version is the Exercism site doesn't do a great job of suppressing these warnings, and they don't include it with the example for some reason. But now that we have it, we should be able to run our tests. So we have the file that I'm sure we're going to be working in, which is this one, and that is where we're starting from. And then we have a file here that is the actual set of tests to run. So I should be able to, in a single keystroke, run all of the tests that are there. This is kind of indicating to me that there's some tests that are not great because we've got 7 passing tests and we haven't done anything yet. Normally you want all of your tests to fail first. I'm glad, Hezo, that you think this stream will help you a lot. Hopefully you'll learn something. So let's get to it. Let's get ourselves positioned here. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, which should run black and format stuff for us automatically. So we kind of start out from a clean slate there. And then we're going to clean up some of these other bits that are there. And then we'll look at the problem. Actually, let's not bother with all of that cleanup. That's just a waste of time. So our implementation is going to go right here. And let's see what it says to do. All right. With Cater Waiter, you'll learn one concept, which is sets. And it says, you and your business partners operate a small catering company. You've just agreed to run an event for a local cooking club that features club favorite dishes. The club is inexperienced in hosting large events and needs help with organizing, shopping, prepping, and serving. You've decided to write some small Python scripts to speed the whole planning process along. So all these problems are very contrived, and that's okay. They're just meant to give you something to think about as you're going through this. So don't read too much into like this is a great way to learn design. It's really a great way to teach a concept. So let's start with the first thing. So clean up dishes. The event recipes were added from various sources, and their ingredients appeared to have duplicate or more entries. You don't want to end up purchasing excess items. Before the shopping and cooking can commence, each dish's ingredient list needs to be cleaned, okay? So we've got this clean ingredients function. We're going to receive the name of the dish and the ingredients. It takes a name of a dish and a list of ingredients, and this function should return a tuple with the name of the dish as the first item, followed by the deduplicated set of ingredients. Okay, so this one should be fairly easy to address. So let's start with that. And I'll open up the test file on the side so that we have something to work with. So this is the test. Keep that up here. In fact, let me rotate that. So our test should be in here somewhere. Here's the test we want to run, test clean ingredients. We can run just that test with a keystroke. And so what we want is these tests to pass. One of them is already passing. Not sure why. I'm not really going to focus on that unless we need to. So we are supposed to return a tuple. So that means if you return a pair of items, like if I return 1, 2 like this looks like a multiple return, but really what Python is going to do under the covers is actually transform this into a tuple as a return. So this is the way our return can go. And it said that the first item in the tuple return had to be the name of the dish. So we just need to fill that in here. And then the second item in the return needed to be the set of deduplicated ingredients. So when you have a list of things and you pass it to a set, it will automatically deduplicate, because the whole value of a set is something that you can have a unique list of items for. And anytime you add to that set, if it's already there, it's not going to be added again. This gives it some interesting properties about quick lookups and all sort of stuff. And so I think all that we need to do to solve this particular problem is to pass the dish ingredients to the set constructor. And from there, that should create everything that we need. So let's run the test. And look, all of our tests immediately pass. So that's a one-liner for the solution. We'll see if they get a little harder as we go along. So we've got our cleaned ingredients list, and now let's move to cocktails and mocktails. So it says the event is going to include both cocktails and mocktails. That's mixed drinks without the alcohol. And you need to ensure that mocktail drinks are truly non-alcoholic. And the cocktails do need to include alcohol. So we're going to implement check drinks, which is a drink and a list of drink ingredients. Okay, that makes sense. The function should return the name of the drink followed by mocktail if the drink has no alcoholic ingredients, and a drink name followed by cocktail if the drink includes alcohol. Okay. Interesting. For the purposes of this exercise, cocktails will only include alcohols from the alcohol's constant. So let's see what that alcohol's constant is, see if it's a list or something else. So we should be able to go and look at the definition, and it is a set of different types of alcohol. So that's nice. That's a nice constraint on that, because when you have sets that you can already work with, then you can do set math on things to determine if certain conditions have happened. So what we know here is that we have a list of drink ingredients. So the first thing we can do in our function is to convert this to a set. We're going to do some set math. So we'll call it the ingredients. I guess technically we could do clean ingredients. Maybe that's the way to go. We already have this clean ingredients function that returns the set for us. So let's do that. It's a little bit of replication. That's maybe okay. So we'll just say ingredients. That's going to be our set, and we'll call clean ingredients, and we're going to pass it the drink name and the, oh, you know what? That's dish ingredients. Does it matter? It's functionally the same. Well, let's treat them as different things and not do this. So we'll just call it ingredients. We'll not call that because we don't actually need, we're taking advantage of the knowledge of the implementation of this. which is maybe not the best thing to do. So let's do this here, where we'll call set with the drink ingredients. So now we have all of the ingredients that are part of this drink, either a mocktail or a cocktail. And what we need to do is compare it to the list of alcohols. And so if there are any alcohols in the ingredients list, then we're going to say cocktail, otherwise we're going to say mocktail. So I think what we really want to do is exactly that kind of language should be able to translate to what kind of logic we want to put in here. So if alcohols are in ingredients, then, and that should check all of the, should do some set comparison there. I think this is the right way to go about this. Then we know that's an alcoholic drink type. So we can say drink type is equal to a cocktail. Otherwise, we'll say drink type is equal to a mocktail. Like, whoops, that needs to be a string. That's mocktail. And I guess technically I could make it an M or a C and really get fancy here, but I'll just spell out the whole word. I think it will read a little better. And so we need to return a string that is the drink name appended with cocktail or mocktail. So now we should be able to do something like this, where we'll do a function, a format string, and we want to give it the drink name. Whoops. No, that was right. I'm sorry. Drink name. That's coming in as an input with a space, and then we want to do the drink type, and that is our function string. So we've got that. Let's see if we pass the test. Whoops, we did not. All right, so I messed up something. So maybe what I want to check really is, let's go look at the set documentation. I think what I did wrong. Yeah, let's check it out. Docs, python.org. So this is useful if you need to look it up. You can go to, this should be in the language reference. And this is in the data model, I believe. Is that right? So we'll bring up set types. And well, it takes us to a different part, but that's okay. So it's actually the standard types section. So I did this of X in S, but X is a set where it's not an individual item. So that's probably why it was wrong. Instead, what we need to do is check the intersection. So if we have a set of alcohols and we've got a set of ingredients, and we can check if they intersect, and then there is a value to that intersection, then it would show that there's something in the ingredients list that was an alcoholic thing. So we've got this intersection operator here that returns a new set, and a set, if it is empty, should be a Boolean type. So let's check this out. If we go to Python, bring up the REPL, and if we do a bool on an empty set, I believe that should be falsy. It should be false. But a bool on a set that has a value in it is true. So if we do this intersection operation and it returns an empty set, then it's a mocktail, right? Because, so let's change that. So if alcohol and ingredients, so think about what that's going to return this intersection. And if that is, if there's some value in there, then it is a cocktail, because it means that something was found in this ingredients list that was also in the alcohols list. So I think that that one change should correct our test. Yeah, good. All right, sorry to mislead you there initially. I wasn't thinking hard enough about this. And there are probably clever ways that you could do this as a one-liner. I'm sure that as we look at solutions a little bit, we will see some of that. All right, let's go look at the next thing to categorize a dish. So categorize a dish. The guest list includes dinners with different dietary types, and your staff will need to separate the dishes into vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, and omnivore. Wow, okay. Implement categorize dish function that takes a dish name and a set of the ingredients. All right. So this is where we can use clean ingredients. The function should return a string with the dish name followed by the category. Okay, so we only get one, so it's not like we have to go through a list of these. And then we have some data that we can check. So in this case, all dishes fit into one of the following. Okay, so that's interesting. It's not going to be one or the other. So you're not going to have like, it's what I'm reading from this is that tofu will not show up in a paleo or omnivore kind of setting. It could, but that's not how they're describing the data here. All dishes will fit into one of the categories imported from this data set. That's interesting. So I guess what we will do is we will check let's see how we're going to do this one. This is some kind of well, first things first, let's get the cleaned ingredients. We'll say dish name is equal to, and the other side is going to be ingredients is going to be equal to clean ingredients, which takes the dish name and the dish ingredients. So that's how we're going to get the set out of this stuff. Now we're ready to compare to some of these other sets. So I'm sure we could use the new Python match operator in some way if we wanted to, but I don't know that we need to here. So if we start with an if statement, and what is the if? So let's first think about I guess vegan. It's first on the list here. So what makes a dish a vegan dish? It's if all of the dish ingredients are entirely inside of the vegan set. So which operation is that going to be? So we want to have, I think we want to have is a subset, which is probably this one. You either have the ingredients, you're in it, or you have exactly the same number here. Test whether the set is a proper subset of other. Okay. So it can be the set, the full set, or it can be a subset. That's what I think we need to do here. And if that happens, then we have the dish type. So we have, or I guess they call it category. And the category will be a string of that, I suppose, like this. Whoops. So then we have the need at the end to return the dish name along with the category. So we should be able to do another f string, and it should be dish name along with the colon space category. Now Python will probably complain at me. Yep. So if it's not this if statement, then we're going to have a problem. And that problem is that category is not defined. So there are two ways we could address this. We can put a category here, or we could make an else statement. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to call it unknown for now. The exercise claims that all of them will fit in here. So this should never happen once we've implemented all of the checks. But this is where we're going to start. So now that we're here, we should be able to run the test. And so we've got one test that passed. Did our vegan test? I'm hoping that's the vegan test that passed. So all of these are saying unknown, but really, look, it's paleo, vegetarian, omnivore. I don't see vegan anywhere in that list. So maybe that's our one that passed. And actually, we can test out that theory. Let's comment this out, see if we got it. So if this test now fails for that one test that passed, then we know that we got the vegan answer. Nope. All right, so maybe I've messed this up some. Here it is. Celeriac schnitzel. That's an unusual dish name to me. Why is what's going on? There we go. Okay, I'm gonna do what I think would be the solution, and then if it's still not working, we can dig into that. I'm surprised that that didn't work. So we'll do the elif block. So if the ingredients are a subset of vegetarian, then we want to have category of vegetarian, like that. And then we're going to replicate this a couple times, whoops, and change this to paleo, keto, and omnivore. Paleo, keto, and omnivore. Okay. I would hope that that would work, but I spelled it wrong. Vegetarian? Is that really how I spell it? Have I been thinking of it? I'm clearly not a vegetarian. Yeah, that makes sense. It's vegetables. Okay. Okay, so that worked. Also the vegan pizza, which is third in the list. Thanks, John. So like I said, there are probably other ways you could do this that would be maybe more clever. There's a new, as of Python 3.9, 3.10, a new match operator, which could probably be used here. And as it's kind of an alternative to using a big if-else statement. And maybe that's a little faster. I don't know. Python doesn't have a switch statement, which would be another way to do it in other languages, but this is what we've got. Okay, but it passed, so I'm okay with how we did it. And I'm curious to see some other solutions. There might be better ways to do that. Let's look at this. Label allergens and restricted foods. Some guests have allergies and additional dietary restrictions. These ingredients need to be tagged or annotated for each dish so they don't cause issues. Okay. Implement tag special ingredients, which takes a dish. The function takes a tuple with the dish name in the first position and a list or set of ingredients. That's interesting. So sometimes it could be the list, sometimes it could be the set. So there's a hint we should probably be calling clean to make sure that what goes in comes out okay. And we want to return the dish name followed by the set of ingredients that require a special note on the dish description. The dish ingredients inside a list may or may not have duplicates. For the purposes of this exercise, all allergens or special ingredients that need to be labeled are in the special ingredients constant. Okay, so we need to get out the special ingredients, I guess. So go look at this. Saying the answer is garlic and soy sauce and tofu are the special ingredients. Let's go take a look at that list and make sure special ingredients has garlic and soy sauce and tofu. Oh my, garlic. What? Soy sauce. The vegan intersections. That's not something we've used. Special ingredients. There it is, right at the top. Garlic. Okay. So let's go to the implementation here. We're going to go to tag special ingredients. And so we've got our dish. We know it's a tuple. So if it's a tuple, we can do this. We can do dish name. And they're guaranteeing to us that it's a tuple of 2. So I'm going to do something in a second that should work. We're going to take the clean ingredients, and I'm going to unpack the tuple using the star operator. So that should take those 2 items and pass them in as the positional arguments for the clean ingredients function. And what we should get out the other side is the dish name and the ingredients to work with. So what it needs to come out in the return is the dish name, which we already have. And we need to return the intersection. Which of the ingredients that are in the special ingredients are also in the dish. So if we do, which intersection do we want? Like this, there's a couple of different ways. Well, I guess there's only one. I take that back. It's not like we're doing a difference of one or the other, right? Yeah, I think so. I think we just want the intersection. So we'll say ingredients and special ingredients. So that should give us the special ingredients that happen to be in a dish. Let's try it. Cool, test passed. Let's move to the next one. Hopefully you're getting a sense of set operations at this point. Sets are pretty useful. They're pretty fast too. Takes a little bit of time to build a set. So if you're building a set just to do a quick operation, sometimes that's valuable, sometimes it's not. It has to do with, sets can be really fast because of some hashing stuff that happens underneath. We're not going to get too deep into that. All right, compile a master list of ingredients. In preparation for ordering and shopping, you need to compile a master list of ingredients for everything on the menu, quantities to be filled in later. So we're going to get dishes, which is a function that takes a list of dishes. Okay. And returns a set of all ingredients in all listed dishes. Okay, so these dishes they're just the dish ingredients. Each individual dish is represented by a set. So we need to add those together. And sets should have just an addition or an or. Maybe it's this one. Return a new set with elements from the set and all others. It's the union. That's really what we're after. It's not a plus. So the natural inclination might be like, oh, that's plus, but they want you to think in terms of set math, which is like union and intersection, and these are the more traditional terms in mathematics for those concepts, so that's why we're using the pipe character. So we want to do, that's the dishes. Right now, let's try out the test, prove it's not working. Those are the 5 tests that are failing. Let's get rid of that and then say, well, maybe this is a fun time to bring in another package. I'm going to use something called the operator standard library module. Should have left that. Let's leave the set docs up. We'll bring up another thing. Okay, we'll leave this here. Docs, and then go here, and there's an op. Should be somewhere along the way. Operator. So operator is a nice way to get other, like where you would use like a plus, you could call operator, or here's the simplest example. Let's just take the one from the top. So where you could do A less than B, you can do operator.lt instead. And so what I'm hoping is there should be a or. Here's the or. And so how have I done this in the past? You can do the reduce. Might be reduce. So let's do a couple things. Bring up the docs again. Look at the built-in functions. So the library reference, the built-in functions. And we can take reduce. Should be map. What? Why did that get moved to func tools? I think it did. Okay. So this is maybe not like a very standard way to implement this. This is probably a little bit more clever than I would normally show on stream, but well, let's do something fun. So we're going to import func tools, which is functional tools for dealing like functional programming. And we're going to import operator. And then down in our solution, we should be able to take the dishes, which we know is a list of sets. And so a list is an iterable thing. So we should be able to do this. We're going to return the, does func tools return a set? I think this will work. Let's try. Func tools reduce, and it does, you give it a function. So the function we're going to give it is operator dot or, that's the function, and then where the thing to iterate over is that set of dishes. See if this worked. Hey, a little bit of cleverness. How else could you do this? So this was like the fancy pants one line way to do this. You could also loop over this thing, so for dish and dishes, and then kind of have some accumulator. That could be, you could start off with, let's do this in a separate way, just so you can see it. So there's the, this is the plain version. That test would fail. We could start off with and say, this should be an ingredients. And we say that's going to be an empty set. And then we say for dish in dishes, which we know is a set. Then we should be able to do ingredients is equal to, now I'll do it a couple of ways first, is equal to ingredients with the union of dish. And as it goes through each one, it's going to build up the whole thing, and we return the ingredients. So that's like the 4-line solution, which should work. It did. We can make this a little bit better by doing pipe equal, just like you can do plus equal, and that way you can get rid of this. And so that you get that simplified version, so you get that as your option. Or you can go with this func tools reduce option. Speed-wise, honestly, this might be faster because this stuff is highly optimized generally. And in this version, we're calling calling some functions. We're calling reduce, we're calling, which is going to call or. So this feels to me like it might be slower. But you won't know until you do any kind of benchmarking. For the simplicity of the stream, I'm going to leave it at this other version. So that was kind of fun to show you the functools reduce way, but I don't think that we need it. And frankly, like I'm not a big fan of using functools in general in Python code. I think it leads to code that's harder to understand because it's not often idiomatic Python. Okay, let's move on to separate appetizers. So pull out appetizers for passing on trays. The host has given you a list of dishes they'd like prepped as bite-sized appetizers to be served on trays. You need to pull these from the main list of dishes being prepared as larger servings. We've got separate appetizers. Takes a list of dish names and a list of appetizer names. Okay. And the function should return the list of dish names with appetizer names removed. Either the dishes or appetizers list could contain duplicates, so it may require duplicating. I see. All right. So again, this is more intersection stuff. And when you start to see lists as the sets and you can start thinking in set math, some of these problems become very simplistic. Like if you had to do this with iterating over each list and trying to keep track of, is this in this one, this one, this one, it gets pretty hard. But when you can do a set subtraction, which is I think what they want here, then it becomes a much easier problem. So we're going to take the dishes and we're going to clean them by creating sets out of them. So we'll say, and that's going to do that initial deduplication. So we'll say the dishes set. Well, I guess before we do that, let's run the test and show that it's failing. Okay, so this is 5 tests. They're all failing. So let's take the dishes set and call set on dishes. And the appetizers set and call set on appetizers. And the way to get the appetizers out, so it says the function should return the list of dish names with appetizer names removed. So we just do the subtraction. So if we return dishes set minus the appetizers set, then that should remove all the appetizers from that first set and give us the answer. Whoops. Huh. Seems that I did something wrong. Something is not an instance of list. You return a set, but a list was expected. Oh, is that a list? Okay. How about that? There we go. So it just was expecting a different data type. So now that you've seen it done this way, there's no need for these 2 local variables. That's overkill. So we can turn this into a one-liner by switching that to set of dishes and set of appetizers, like that. Get rid of those 2 variables and then run the same test, and we get it in one line. And I think this is a scenario where it's clear enough what's happening. Sometimes I like to leave local variables because they're descriptive, but the fact that I created a local variable and the only difference was it had underscore set after it, and I was only using it one time, was to me an indicator that it's preferable to just inline it like this because it's functionally the same name. All right, let's look at the last bit and then we're ready to move on to some actual SaaS stuff. So find ingredients used in only one recipe. Within each category, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, omnivore. You're going to pull out ingredients that appear in only one dish. These singleton ingredients will be assigned a special shopper to ensure they're not forgotten in the rush to get everything else done. So implement singleton ingredients that takes a list of dishes and a category intersections constant for the same category. Each dish is represented by a set of ingredients. Okay. That appear in more than one dish. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, got distracted. What is this icon? Get out of here. Okay. Each dish is represented by a set of its ingredients. Well, okay, that's pretty consistent with what we've been seeing the whole time. Each category intersection is a set of ingredients that appear in more than one dish in the category. Okay, fair. Using set operations, your function should return a set of singleton ingredients, ingredients appearing in only one dish in the category. Singleton ingredients. Okay. We might need to dig into this example dishes to see this a little clearer. There's a lot of items in there. So this is saying that there is a dish that has vegetable oil is the unique thing to it. First of all, gross, but secondly, that's strange. All right, let's look at the data set and look at the examples. So I guess this is saying that vegetable oil is not going to be anywhere. Yeah, okay. So I think this is two operations that are happening. So first, we want to take a dish and we want to compare it against the intersection data. And so like in this example, this dish was passed in and compared to this intersection. And when we did found what was unique to this side, the answer was vegetable oil. So that's our unique ingredient, I guess. And then that happened for all of these dishes, and all of those unique ingredients were then unioned together in one big master list. That's how I'm interpreting this problem. So what we have to do is it sounds like this time we are given a set of sets, a list of sets, sorry, and we are given the intersection type. Let's look at our list of operators again. And so we want to find the things that are only in the dish. And to get that, we can do a set difference. We're going to take out the intersection category. So it should be something like for dish in dishes. And what we're after is that the dish minus the intersection. That can be like vegan or all of that stuff. So this thing is going to return a set, and that's going to be that singleton ingredient thing, I think. So we'll call this singleton ingredients. Sure. Oh, that's the name of the function. We'll call it singletons. I don't know. Terrible name, but that's okay. So this is going to be our little accumulator, like we did up on 35 lines higher with ingredients. In fact, let's just call it ingredients. That's a way better name. Ingredients. And we're going to do a union, just like we did on the other one, with the pipe equals. Same thing. So the only difference this time is like we're doing a little bit of extra set computation here, and it's that resulting set that we want to put into the list. And then we should be able to return the ingredients. So if I understood the problem right, this should get a passing grade. It did. Cool. Everything passes. Cool. That's exciting. So I think we are ready to submit our problem. I'm in the wrong directory here for this exercise. Where am I? Yeah, inventory management. So we were in the catering one. Cater waiter. And since it's all passing, let's do exercism submit, and the file is sets.py. All right, now we should be able to go to the website and look at our solution. Whoops, apparently didn't highlight that properly. Looks like we're done here. That's what it says. We've got our iteration. Everything passed, so they run the same test. That one. Yeah, I still can go back and forth. I think for you all, it's probably preferable to have dark screens, especially since I do this in the evening. Although you could be anywhere else. I don't know where you are. I still like white screens personally, but yeah, I'm using a dark theme for now. Let's take a look at a few community solutions and check them out, see what we think, and then we'll move on to a bit of SaaS stuff. So looking at this top ones, I like to get stuff that is kind of starred a few times. If you go beyond the first couple rows, you can see they've only been starred like 1 or 2 times. That's probably just the fact that these are at the top, and there's a bias that gets added there, but that's okay. So let's look at these 3 solutions which seem to have the most stars and see what we can learn. All right, K-Buck, what did you do? Let's look at clean ingredients. Exactly, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we did. Dish name, set, ingredients. Neat. All right. Oh, that's interesting. This is, let's compare to our solution here. So for this, we did set, which one, I'm going to get the name wrong. That intersection? I don't want to mislead you all. Yeah, set intersection to find out if the drink was an alcoholic one or not. And K-Buck did an any statement and looped through them. So I think K-Buck is maybe missing the spirit of what you do with sets. A lot of this should have been about set operations, which I think would have lent itself to something else. Also, they're doing a plus operation here. So this could be, I mean, this is from 2 years ago, so maybe F strings were less used at the time, but that would be my critique here. Otherwise, it's the same strategy as what we did, right? Categorizing dish. Again, there's a for loop here. That's intriguing. What do we do differently? I just did a big if-else statement. So why do they do for loops? They break out? Oh, interesting. So if they found it, then they return. Okay. Okay, that's clever. It's a neat way to go about it. And effectively, it's the same kind of pattern, but perhaps a little bit better reuse than I achieved. Because mine's doing an if, else, if. Well, no, this is the right way to go. They did it fine. All right, let's look at tag special ingredients. They use the walrus operator, special ingredients intersection with the set of ingredients. What did we do? Tag, we cleaned them, and then I think the solution that we've got here is, I think it's cleaner. This might have looked better if they didn't have the intersection here. Yeah, When I'm looking at sets, I don't like to see the use of dot intersection and dot union and those things. Like maybe that's a style thing that people like that, but it's not my preference. Oh, their solution might be better. Compile. What do we do? So I did this like loop thing. They just called union. Oh, this is better. This is legit better. So union can take multiple positions, and then they did the star to unpack the list into the positional arguments. So well done, Kbuck. Nice solution there. It led to something that's just cleaner. Once you grok what's going on here, I think that's a better way to go. Same thing that they did for separate appetizers. We have a same solution. And then singleton ingredients. And they had their clever, yeah, once they have that available. So if you can get an iterable, which is what they did here, which is a subtraction, that was the only unique part, is the dish minus intersection. That was the unique part. And they've got now an iterable of all of those intersected sets, and then they called the union on those. So we did ours in a loop. They did it in a single call. So nice. I like it. All right, ckush. Let's see what ckush did. Again, as I pointed out at the very beginning, you don't need, so it said needed to be a tuple, but Python will do that automatically. So this set of parentheses around the return is not necessary. They turn this into a one-liner. I don't like it when I see this kind of stuff, especially when it's like scrolling off. Like there's just too much logic going in there. And they could have done set drink ingredients with the ampersand to do an intersection again. This is another method. Is subset is equivalent to that less than or equal to thing. Oh, this was interesting. What do they do here? Pulled out the dish name. Oh, they just broke apart the tuple. Okay. Reasonable way to go. They're calling out the union instead of using the pipe operator. But otherwise it's virtually identical to my solution. Again, they're calling the difference method. So hopefully you see, I mean, this is the same kind of thing. Think about properties in Python. Properties are a way to like turn what would be a function call into an attribute lookup. So if you do my object dot A plus other object dot B, and both of those things are properties, then it looks pretty clean. Like it looks almost like math. If, on the other hand, you were in a language that didn't have properties like older versions of Java, where it was very popular to have getter functions, you would have myObject.getA and then myObject.getB. And if you had to have a function in between them to add them together, like that's functions all over the place. And I think it leads to code that it feels like this. It feels crammed. Like there's something like it's begging to breathe for space. And I think that's what the symbols actually buy you there. So that's obviously a style taste, but I think it lends itself to easier to read code when you could just have a minus instead of this difference. Same strategy here. Again, this code ends up looking, I don't know. I guess you all can be the judge. I am of the opinion that code looks less appealing than this once you realize what the pipe is doing and the minus is doing. If you've actually learned those set operations, then this code just feels cleaner to me. But that's my bias. Otherwise, good job by ckush there. Finally, let's look at Grimyoung. So they create a local variable and then they wrapped it in parentheses. Parentheses aren't needed, but otherwise it's totally fine. is disjoint. Okay, they went about it a different way. Went with the mocktail first. They just reversed the logic basically, but that works. For loop. Okay, not much to see there. These are starting to look so similar that I don't know that it matters. They named it grocery list when it's a set, which feels a little weird. Yeah, that would indicate to me that like that would be a list, and then to have it be a different type, it's like ooh. But it works. This is the same solution, and then oh, what they do here? They've got the caret. Which one was that again? Symmetric difference. Returns a new set with elements that are in the set or the other, but not both. I mean, I guess that works for this context, but that's a strange way to go. All right, well, that is our Python exercise for the evening. Let's go over to our overview, and we'll mark this as complete, share our solution so others can check it out. And then let's return back to the syllabus for a moment. So next time, assuming we continue on this path, we'll do unpacking and multiple assignment, and then we'll do classes after that. And once we're at that basis point where we've built up all of the Python primitives that we're all used to, then the problems start to get more interesting. They start to have more challenge to them, frankly, and they could offer some more variety here than, because you can get into stuff that's more than just like, do you understand sets? It's more about, can you solve this problem? So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff ahead of us there. We'll set that aside for now, though, and look at the homeschool app, see where we are with this. I'll refresh this page because it's been a little while, and see if we can, what should we work on? So we have a lot of choices. And my users are not clamoring for anything. So maybe we'll just go down the list. And then if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to like explore other topics too. So if there are things you're like, I would love to learn more about this, then we could do that. Last week or a couple weeks ago, I did some Golang stuff. I have some areas in that area we could explore as well that might be fun if you like seeing something completely different. Otherwise, we'll do one of these and see where we're at. We'll start with this one. So there's some path that's going wrong here. The exit button on the grade page returns to the grade page. Yeah, so it's a loop. Let's see it play out. I'm going to bring up the app. We've already got the virtual environment going. Fire this up and jump over to localhost 5000 and go to the app. And so this page, I've got a link that doesn't go to the right spot, basically. So let's see what's going wrong. On the student page, there's this input scores button. And you can, I don't know how well you can see that URL in the bottom, but it's giving a next URL. Actually, I'll just click on it. The next place should be the students page, should be taking us back there. But it's coming right back to here. Something is not wired properly. Instead of going to the next URL, it's just looping back on itself, which is bad news. So what we wanted, it's most likely going to be a problem in the template, but it might be a problem in the view. I don't really know. Let's go poke around on it, see how it works, and see if it's a quick fix or not. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Just give us some clarity here. Go to the, I think it's called the scores Scores? Is that right? I don't know. Clearly, I'm wrong. Which Django app is this in? It's in the student. Oh, it's the grade page, not scores. Grade. Let's look for exit. All right. Well, why is that not working? Because there is definitely a next parameter in the URL. Next, students. So it's there. So what the heck? Why did it do that? We might need to bring up the view as well. So let's bring up students views. Go to the grade page. Grade? No, I don't know. What did I call it? Grade task. Is that the grade task? No, that's too. Here it is. Grade view. Grade view. It's a template view. I'm just looking for anything that might indicate that there's like extra logic in here for this button or any weird modification. There's some more logic in here than I realized. Okay. But it doesn't seem like there's anything in this template that should be there. So slash before next, maybe make it part of the URI and not a parameter. You're talking about this slash here. So this is actually pretty normal Django. It's a good question, good thought there, Juan. But I think this is fairly normal for a Django app to end its routes in the slash. And from a URL perspective, in terms of the spec, the query parameters don't really care what's before it. For the most part, that's not totally true, but I think that part should be okay. All right, so I think one thing that we can try and do is turn on debug toolbar to give us context. Oh man, new computer, debug tool. It's not my history here. So debug toolbar equal 1. Will that do it? We refresh the page. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So that's the way I have for getting access to all of the parameters when I'm doing some local debugging. And let's take a look at what is actually going on here. So remember the template seemed to show that if we can get the next parameter out of the request, then it would render that. I don't know what I'm missing here, because I've done this like all over the place, which has typically worked. This is looking pretty weird. But we'll keep thinking on it. Let's take a look at what the data is showing. Let's look at the template. We'll toggle the context. If ever you need to like figure out what's in here. Now, unfortunately, all it shows us is request. So that's not going to help us in this context, which is sad. But we should be able to show that on the page, maybe? Well, what if we just say, what's this going to do? Request, get. Just like render the whole dictionary. Will that actually show anything? Well, let's find out. Nope. Did it go into the else block? That definitely shouldn't be the case. Hello? But it's worth checking out, just in case. Okay, hold on. Is this not actually Ah, shoot. My templates are not actually refreshing. I thought I fixed this. Try it again. What? I would have expected that exit button. Is there another exit button on here? These are the only two. This is the grade page. Students grade HTML. It's definitely the page. What is going on? Inspect. See, this href is empty. That should not be. And I would expect at this point to see hello in one of these. So something weird is happening. So it's not even showing the right button. Is there another place? Oh. Is there a like an empty state? Has work to grade. So what's the else block here? Yeah. Aha. No work to grade. There's where the problem is. It's not here. So this is like when the app is functioning. Okay, so I'm not crazy right now. This could actually still be working just fine in terms of rendering template stuff. Hello? And let's see if it's picking that up. All right, good. So the template reloading is not the problem. I think the problem is that it's in this guy that is really the problem. So we need to go to that template. No work to grade. Oh, wouldn't you look at that? So it still has, aha, typo. That was it. All right. One line fix, or one character fix. Nice. Everybody see that? So it's like all that was missing was I was supposed to get this character out. Now this is where a language that like sometimes the Django template syntax is too forgiving. Because really this was a coding error, and if I'd had a test and I had this set to fail, then it would have tried to access it, and it would have got some kind of key error and would have failed. I think there's a way to make templates super strict in that sense, so that if you ever do an attribute access, that it causes problems. But I'm not sure that many people use it because of the ramifications that can have. Let's actually go look that up. I'm curious if that's a setting. Django templates. We're looking for the options. Oh, come on. Options? Shoot. Template options, template settings. They're in here somewhere. So Django has multiple template rendering engines, so each one can have its own set of options. So we're looking for the options for, here it is. Here's the configuration for this, and the options contains backend specific settings. So extra parameters, available parameters vary depending on this. So let's go to Django templates, kind of sending us all over the place, but that's okay. All right, let's see. Is it one of these things? Loaders, string if invalid. Sounds promising. Are they any others? Oh, that's it. The output as a string that the template system should use for invalid or misspelled variables. Oh, okay. So if we had this setting defined, let's see what that would do. It'd be kind of fun. Let's go to the settings. And whoops. What's going on? Settings, templates. So we could do options, and this was an option for this, so it'd be something like, what was it? String if invalid? String if invalid, which is normally an empty string, but let's try broken. Oops, need a comma. All right. I don't know if we might need to restart the server for that settings change. Now, before we load the page, let's break it again. Take it back to net. We do that and come back to our page here and hover over it. Yeah, cool. So we can see it would have been broken. I'm looking at the URL in the corner. But what I'm not sure is like, is that something I'm fearful of what that would mean to turn it on now, because there's probably times where I have depended on something not being there, and I don't know what that would affect for in terms of the Boolean logic. Like, if an attribute is not there and it falls back to, let's think about this. So in the template syntax, if an attribute isn't there, is that going to evaluate to true or false? Like, here's a way we can figure this out. So if I did this, with this setting turned on, string if invalid, then in theory, I think what this is going to return from Django's point of view is this is actually maybe not what we want, because this might return the string of broken, and a string value of broken might be truthy. So it might actually go into this, into the else block. Did it go here? Which would be bad. Like, that would be something that is failing, turns out to be true. Well, no, I'm sorry, I've got this wrong. That would turn out to be true when we would want it to be false. Right? We would want this to go in here. So if we don't see did it go here, then it's the wrong behavior, because it means that this evaluated true. Yeah, you know, John, you're right. I feel like there should be some option maybe to let it raise an exception almost. Like, this is it's a syntax error is what these are in most circumstances. Unless you're doing something really dynamic, I feel like it would be a syntax error. So let's check out if it actually went here. Oh, it did go there. Oh, that's fascinating. So it sounds like the template engine has at least factored this in, of like, if you didn't find it, then it's not going to return the broken string. It's actually going to evaluate to false. So that's positive, at least. I would be fearful of the template engine if it behaved differently. Okay, I'm not going to keep that setting though. It's not really what I'm after, but it was worth an experiment. Okay, everything should work, but I'll run the test just in case, just to prove to myself that it's still all happy. All good. And there's the one change. And we'll say fix the exit link, exit button on the grade page when there is nothing to grade. It's a weird corner case. That's like, it's rare that someone would actually be coming here if they didn't have any, if they knew that there was nothing to grade. Well, maybe it's not as rare as I think. All right, that's 809. Whoops. What? I should really set this setting properly. Get pull rebase push. My config is not quite right, so that happened to me a couple times where I wanted to do the just thing automatically. If I pull and there's a problem because I had something from my upstream branch that I committed, either like a dependabot PR or that I forgot to pull here, I'd rather just go ahead and rebase instead of giving me some extra homework to do. But I need to set that option. Maybe I should set it now. You can do this by running one of the following commands. Excuse me. So git config pull rebase true. Did that modify my home files? No. Where did that setting go? I don't like that. It shouldn't be like local to this project, because that, well, I guess it could be. Maybe in the Git directory. Be pretty strange, but I suppose that's possible. They didn't say global. Yeah, well, it's telling me right there if I would read the documentation, Matt. Git config global to set the default preference for all repositories. Okay, well, so let's do this again. So I think it should have set my git config, which I have symlinked in my .files directory. So let's try that same git command. We want to pull rebase, but I want to do it globally this time. Now, if we go to .files, there should be a change. Yep. Okay. Now let's go ahead and commit that. Set my preferred behavior when there is a pull conflict. Okie dokie. What do we got? Should we fix some MyPy errors? I have a lot of these. So here's the story with this. And I think I did this on stream. I added Django stubs to my project with the hope of getting better MyPy results. Django being a very dynamic library and a very dynamic framework, is that it's hard to type all that stuff because it wasn't designed with that in mind from the get-go. So Django stubs is a project that attempts to smooth over those differences because it's not built into Django itself. The challenge is that once I did this, it surfaced a bunch of things. So in order to make progress, I went through and I flagged the things that were failing because I want to have something that I can build all the time, and I didn't want to have a big branch that I left on forever. But it means that I should, if I'm wanting to get the benefit out of it, probably work to fix some of these failures. And I have a lot of them. You see, I can fix them. So let's look for a 762, find a couple examples, see if we can turn them off. I can go through that flow, see what happens. All right, so let's start with this by taking this off. See what happens here. Do I need to run my pie? Couldn't resolve related manager for relation flag. What? Couldn't resolve related manager for relation flag. Huh. So I have a custom flag model that I use for feature flagging, which is in my core app. So let's go over there, core models. Here's the flag. And we're using the abstract user flag. This might actually be a problem that is out of my control. It might be coming from Django Waffle. And there may be nothing I can do about it. Couldn't resolve related manager. Let's do a search on it, see if it comes up as an issue on some project. Yeah, we're only going to get very generic stuff. Django Waffle. Going to come up here. Here's a pattern. Maybe they describe how to fix these things. Do I want to follow through with this? Let's see what it says. Because this is the Django subs project, and they're talking about a specific Python version, so we might not learn anything here, but it's worth looking at. I got couldn't resolve related manager for relation error when using Python 3 and Django 3.2. I'm using something later than Django 3.2, so I don't think it's really a specific problem there. Couldn't resolve related manager for relation bars. Ours is flag. This is on. It's seeing it through. Oh, hold on. From dummy app bars model bar foo. It seems to only happen when the reverse foreign key has a custom objects like bar above. Oh, okay. So flag might be declared with a from query set thing. This has turned out to be an interesting one. So I'm using the abstract user flag model, which we can go to the definition to, and let's see how it declares its objects. It has a custom manager. Well, it does not seem like it has a custom manager. Maybe that's not actually the core issue. Oh, it might be in this other class. Abstract base flag. Are you in here? It has just a regular manager on it. Flags, flag manager. Okay. Should have no problem. That's true. There's not really something that can be done here. This will happen if the reverse foreign key class inherits from this third party class. Well, that sounding closer to our situation. Removing the custom object attribute will produce the same error. But it will be fine if I change the bar model to something like base. Oh, that's awful. This sounds like a bug in this project, not one I can deal with. That's good to know. That's why we do this investigation. Like if there's something here that's not something I can deal with, then what we can do, we can take the link and I can come over here and undo that. And then I can say, what can I say? Blocked upstream and link to that. And I can run this and it should pass now because I brought the ignore back in. Is Flake8 going to be happy though? Run files homeschool. I went over the line length. My editor didn't complain though. Yeah. Why did my editor not complain? Hold on. Flake8's installed there. The virtual environment is running. That was weird. Users models. Maybe it's just being because I've got the delta line on it. No, there should be something here. All right, forget it. It's not worth it. I'll leave that comment though. It's good to know. In fact, I'm to the point where it's like I don't even need to track it anymore. So I'll get rid of this 762 because that's from that issue's point of view, that's done. Nothing I could do there. Now I've also got these other errors that are annoying that aren't coming from MyPy. They're coming from Pyrite, which I'm not sure what to do with. Because I need to inform Pyrite that this thing exists, but I don't know how to do that. So this is the user has an attachment to the school via a one-to-one key. So this is something that should come up in the related name. The default related name is the school set. So that should be there. Just something dynamic. But Pyrite can't see that, so it's complaining, hey, I can't see this school set thing. And I don't know how to get Pyrite to be aware of Django stuff. So maybe that would knock out a bunch of errors if we could figure that out. So let's search for Pyrite Django stubs. Pyrite throwing error even with Django stubs installed. Well, that sounds familiar. Not helpful. Type checking your code with Django types and Pyrite. All right, so it could be that Django stubs doesn't know how to work with Pyrite. I think that's the case. I think there's even a bug. So there's this other project that we looked at this when I started adding types. Which project should we use? So there's this other project that does Django types. It tries to be agnostic. Like Django stubs only specifically focuses on MyPy. And so maybe there might be just nothing I can do except stare at these annoying errors, which is like really not how I like to be. I don't like seeing these things in the gutter where it says like I have a problem, because this isn't a problem. This code is right, and I know it's right. And the only way that I could get rid of this error, well, maybe there's multiple ways. I could turn off pyrite entirely, which I don't want to do. Disable line. And do type ignore. Ugh, that's like the worst outcome, because MyPy has no problem with this. So if I did type ignore, like that fixes it, but it really stinks because it's not my fault. Okay, maybe there's a better way to do this. As mentioned, with the accept answer, using type ignore can collide with other type checkers. To work around this, Pyrite now supports pyrite ignore, which MyPy will not pick up on. All right, so that's better. But still, I'm gonna have to sprinkle my project with these pyrite ignores because pyrite is stupid. That's frustrating. And some of these other ones that pyrite. So I like pyrite in some regards because it allows me to go to definition. Like it's really useful in terms of a language server to go to the right stuff and check things out. Like I can go to, should be able to normally go to the definition. I don't know why that didn't work. That's annoying. Quietly welcome. Glad you're learning something. Oh, maybe it was just being slow. Oh, okay. Okay. So it's going slowly. That was not. Gonna wait. What are you doing? 61 files to analyze. What are you talking about? Okay. Well, anyway, so it's imperfect. And the only way I think I'm able to get around this is like, it's a very common pattern to say keyword args is going to be there, but then we're not going to use it. So then in order to like get around that, I'm now going to have to do this, pyrite ignore. Like all of these lines get really long, and it didn't even fix it that time. Why is that going? Why did you not fix it? Maybe that one's on a pyrite thing. Oh my goodness, it's just so far behind. Nope, it was just really far behind. So it's struggling right now. I don't know why it's struggling so much. There's a bunch of files that it says it has to analyze. Okay, I'm gonna try and quit this one more time and then come back. Core models. Chunk, 140 to analyze. I've never actually paid that number in the corner that much attention. This should not take that long. Maybe there's some just monstrous files hiding somewhere in here. It'd be interesting to get like the verbose output for pyrite to see what's going on. Maybe we can. But yeah, it does seem to be re-indexing. You're right, John. So there's LSP. So I've got Vim, NeoVim configured to work with LSP. So pyrite is the process, and I bet if we search for it, it would be running. So Mason is like this tool to get the different projects that you need and store them all in one place. So it's got a Pyrite language server that I downloaded through Mason. That's why it's living at this nvim Mason directory. And it's running right now. It's listening on standard IO and trying to do stuff. Doesn't even seem to be using that much stuff. OBS is definitely the clear winner. All right. I don't get it. It seems like it's done now, though. But you can like get into access information about what's running. So we hear this is telling us we are running with Pyrite. And that's our language server for Python. So I'm getting a ton of benefit out of having Pyrite for navigating stuff, but then I'm also then fighting with it when it's being a little bit noisier than I want it to be. So let's look back at that users models file. Like, I don't really want to have to do Pyrite ignore on all of these things. I think that's irritating. But I will if I need to, because between having that and having errors that pop up all over the place, I think I'd rather have this. It's Pyrite. My Pyrite is probably not current. So there's something I can do there. Mason. New versions available. I think I can just hit enter. That's it. So how do I install it? Is it just I? Go. G install. Update. U. Okay. So Mason. Toggle the help. G question mark. Update. There we go. That's a good idea, John, and maybe it's getting better. I should just generally update my tools. Can I just say update all? I can. It's capital U. Boom. Whoa, cool. And then toggle that. All right, neat. So let's try closing the editor, bringing this back up one more time. And it's not gonna, so the other thing that you may not have noticed that it didn't actually start Pyrite right away because I'm bringing up NeoVim. It doesn't know that I'm working in Python. So what my configuration is set up to do is to like only boot it up basically once one of those files is open. So if we go back to the users models file, then Pyrite will start. You can notice it's chunking through them. Oh yeah, somebody fixed something. That was way faster. I'm also curious, did it figure this out or is it still a problem? No, that's still a problem. Whoops. And that's still a problem. All right, well. Yeah, but they fixed whatever was going very slowly with those 60 files, that seems to have resolved itself. So thanks for the suggestion, John. Okay, let's take a look at a couple more items in this list. Let's see how we can do. So what's it going to tell us here? The other thing that would be cool is I have been upgrading Django stubs, so it's possible that I was going to say it's possible that some of these things have just resolved themselves, but clearly not in this case. All right, so incompatible type for lookup school admin got this union of a user and anonymous user, but expected a user int none. What? So the user here. It's just one of those things where if I think the real problem here is that the type check system doesn't know that this is a what am I trying to say? It doesn't know what? It doesn't know that this is an authenticated view. So this user it thinks can be anonymous. And I think that's sort of the heart of what it's complaining about. So it got an anonymous user, but it expected either a user, an int, or none. And anonymous user is not one of the allowed options. But that's not really what I am truly giving it, because I've got controls on this that guarantee that this thing is going to have real authenticated users. So what I need to do is flag that this request is an authenticated user. And I thought I did something. Where did I put that? Homeschool. Custom typing. Where did I use this thing and how did I use it? Did I do it with a type checking block? I think I did. Which is super annoying. But so this is just a wrapper around the HTTP request object, and the reason I have it here is to say, like, you're not an anonymous user, you're an actual user. And so where I have it in this file is with this line. And so this is the kind of stuff that's just annoying to do. Like, if I want to make this right, I can do this. I can go back and then go to that 762. Oh, it's not sorted, son of a gun. What file was that in? Doesn't really matter. Well, it does, because this is only going to work on class-based views. So I can say this. I can put that in there and get rid of this. And at that point, if this is a user, so right now it's complaining because it says an anonymous user doesn't have that. But once I have this type checking thing, that should go away. So if we go to the top and we say from typing, import type checking, there's that one attribute. And then the other one was from homeschool custom typing, import authenticated HTTP request. So now that's baloney. That should go away. Still wrong. I don't know. Okay. Try to make MyPy again. So I get the other one, schools views. Okay, so I need the same thing in the school view 194. I'm in the student views, school views 194, somewhere over here. Should be able to put this here. Must have already imported that. Okay, so that's the solution, but gosh, that's annoying. And this is some of the downside that comes with type checking. Like, is this adding much value to my life? I don't know. Probably not, to be blunt. It's like knowledge that I have. So it would be useful if, let's say I ever sold the app for some reason and somebody needed to look at this code, they could finally understand, and they had the MyPy stuff, they could understand that this user is only going to be an authenticated request They may not know why. They'd have to get that through this decorator stuff that I did. But that's how this would work. So some of this stuff feels kind of low value, or a lot of it does actually. So I think that's probably enough of a flavor for that this evening. In fact, I don't feel like I need to make more changes here. Let's test it to make sure everything's good, and then we'll do something else. All right, everything's happy. Let's commit it. Whoops, not everything's happy. Users models 118. Did black reformat it though? Nope. Bandit also failed? A TOML parser is not available. What? Okay. I don't think that that's true. I thought TOML... Hold on. We got some other updates in here. So I thought I updated my runtime. Yeah. Okay, so notice that this is running on 3.11. And this virtual environment is 3.10. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because I believe 3.11 shipped a TOML parser. Let's look at Python 3.11 release notes. Release notes, yeah. There's like, I believe there's a new standard library module. Yep. TOML lib. We're parsing TOML. It doesn't do any writing to it, I'm pretty sure. I think it's just a reading. Yeah, there's a writer. There are writer packages if you need it. But because they have a Py project and they decided on the TOML format, they decided it made sense to bring in a library for parsing it as an input. So I think this bandit error will go away if we actually switch to a Python 3.11 version. So I will probably skip. Let's fix this up first. Well, this might be our only way to validate that this problem is present. Try deactivating this. Which Python do I have? 3.10. So brew. Oh boy, I may be asking for it here. Brew upgrade Python 3. This is always a dangerous thing to do on stream because sometimes brew does not play nicely, and then I end up fighting other things. But the goal here is to get onto a Python 3.11 as the default, and then I can create a virtual environment for that. And then if I have a 3.11 based virtual environment, then pre-commit should actually be able to run against 3.11, and then hopefully not complain about a TOML lib problem. So let's let that run for a minute. We should also check pre-commit file. It might be expecting, no, I think I upgraded everything. So you can even see, like, this is already saying 3.11. This is what I don't understand. Like, why did that fail? I've got this additional dependencies here. So it knows to get TOML. That doesn't make any sense to me. Something seems to have happened. Oh boy. Well, I might have messed this up here. So, y'all have any questions? Like, is there anything on your minds that you would like to know about? Otherwise, we'll try something else, but I'll wait a second. I know there's some lag on the stream from when I see a comment to when you've actually heard me say a question. So, see what's out there. And I will be thinking about what to do next if this doesn't go quickly. I thought, oh, I bet I've had this happen before. Yep. For some reason it hangs there. So we would have been waiting indefinitely. So John, your question, do I use pyenv? No, I don't. Well, that's not even updating Python 3.10 or to 3.11. So there's some, I gotta do more to change that. And I guess I don't deal enough with Python version management. Like on this machine, this is really my Python project that's here. And I would just rather be on the latest and greatest. And if that means I can push brew up to that and then just run everything, that would be great. In fact, I'm behind here. My application that we were poking at, or at least the live one, is running on 3.11 already. So I'm actually not testing on what I'm deploying to production, which is not really good of me. I could be better about using PyEnv as a way to manage that stuff, but I just fought with those kind of tools in the past, and I don't know, I like the simplicity of brew in that way. So let's try, so we still have the old Python. What is my advice for a junior developer? That's a good question, Hezo. I guess, where do you feel like you're at with your skill set? Maybe that's where I'd start. Is, one thing that I suggest to people, there's some basic stuff that, without knowing you, there's some basic stuff that I tell people of make sure you have a GitHub account. Try to build up a portfolio. I know that not everybody can work out in the open like that, but for me, so I interview a fair number of people, and if I'm considering them like seriously, I'll look at their GitHub, and if it doesn't look like they do anything, then that's not like an outright, I wouldn't recommend you for being hired for a job, but it displays a certain lack of curiosity. And I think as professional software people, like, you have to always be learning. And so there's just like, unless you're doing it totally in secret, which I would kind of wonder why, there should be some evidence, I would think, that you can have work that you worked on. And it doesn't even have to be like, you don't have to be super proud of it, but I would want to know, do you actually code? And it doesn't have to be all consuming, but is there any evidence of it? That would be something, that would be a strong signal that I look for. Happy to answer. If you've got more specific questions about your context, I would be happy to dig into those too. All right, so let's look for information on Python 3. That's Python 3.10. So how about brew install Python, I don't know. Brew search Python 3. What's the actual name that we need? Okay, Python at 3.11. Do I have 3.11 installed? It would indicate that I do. Python. Oh, dang it. There it is right there. All right. So let's do that, I guess. Let's get rid of the virtual environment that we have. Destroy that thing. Now I'm going to do Python 3.11, and we'll create a new virtual environment. So that's created that one. Notice though we're still on 3.10. So my tool here is telling us that this is 3.10 still. Starship, is that the name of the tool? Yeah, Starship. All right, Leo, I will try my best to answer your question too. Appreciate you managing to listen to me and translate and then come back. So, wow, I'm impressed by you, sir. But I'll answer that and try to answer that in a moment. Okay, so we've got a new virtual environment. It is now 3.11. Notice that when I activated it, it switched to Python 3.11. So we should be able to do the pip install command, and I know that I needed certain flags for it in the past. So I'm going to search my history, and I'm going to look for pip so I can update it. See, it's got that C flag stuff because I had some issues with graphiz that I need to deal with. So let's bring back that last one. So you can use the exclamation point on the shell, like go bring up a history there. So by doing the exclamation point along with that number, it brings back the command that was there rather than typing that all out again. It's a handy thing to know. And then you can run it. So we'll let that run, and then I'll answer Leo's question. How much time do you need to be a good developer? That is a really hard question because it depends on what aspects of good you're looking for. If you're trying to become, let's say you're trying to become a web developer, that's what you're after. Presumably that's why you're here listening to me to some degree, because you're interested in software as a service. Oh man, I'll have to get in a second. I think that following along some tutorials and guides, you could get proficient. So you could get the basic skills that you need in a handful of months, assuming that you know some programming already. So all of my advice today is conditional on having some programming knowledge. Like right now, my son is a 5th grader, and I am teaching him once a week how to do programming. So his level of knowledge is he doesn't even know what a variable is, or he does now, but when we started this year, he didn't know what a variable was. He didn't know anything about programming languages. And so that's starting at the very beginning. If you're on that journey, getting to be good, I think you have to walk up or climb the ladder, conceptual ladder. So the first conceptual ladder that I think you really need to clear before you get to data science or web development or cloud developer or whatever your desire is to have an understanding of a programming language and the core elements of it. So you need to understand variables, you need to understand state, you need to understand a little bit about types like booleans and strings and integers and those sort of things. You need to understand flow control, so your if statements, your while statements, how all of those things work. Functions. If you're using an object-oriented language like Python, you should understand classes and methods. And then so after you get those core pieces down, you should make sure you understand some core data types too. So like we did an exercise to do sets this evening. So you should understand lists and dictionaries. And then if you want to really get good with a language, also make sure you start to understand some of the standard library that comes with it. So you can read, if you go and read, what would I recommend you read? You look at the documentation, go to the standard library. I'm going to use Python as the example because it's the easiest one, the one that I know the best. So something that would be fantastic to know is like understand a good majority of these functions. These are the built-in functions that are always available to you. If you understood all of these, you'd probably be way ahead of many other Python programmers out there. I actually took the time years ago to literally commit every single one of these to memory using Anki flashcards. So if you do Anki, major shout out to Anki here. This is a very powerful way to learn anything, especially factual knowledge. Check it out. It uses the idea of spaced repetition to really build your memory. So that is a good tool. So learn some functions in the language to make you proficient in what's available so you're not redoing everything yourself. And then so hunt around here. Like this is going to be more of a buffet of I need to know certain things. I want certain skills. So look through this list and see, oh, do I want to understand something about CSV files. Well, that could be useful, and it is useful. It's super useful. So some of these are more useful than others. CSV is a really good one. Understanding how to operate with the operating system is a good one. So you can hunt around for probably the top standard library modules to use, or I have a mailing list that actually feeds you ways to learn more about Python and writing Pythonic code, and it actually walks you through some popular modules there. So I guess that's my starting. You've got the basics down. You know the language, and you feel comfortable with a language. Python is a great language, first language, if that's where you're coming from. All right, then your journey branches to becoming a good developer, and it sort of depends on what you want to do. So professionally, I work in web development. That's why I'm able to show you all what I show you. Is I've built up this knowledge from years and years, and if that's the path you want to go down, then you have to branch out into learning the technologies that are related to web development. So that means HTML, CSS, some JavaScript, learning about HTTP and how data is transferred. So knowing those pieces are a really solid way to build up into web development. And you can use something like Django. Django has a good tutorial that will walk you through, even if you don't know all the pieces at once, will anchor you in a programming language that you know, because I'm assuming you've learned Python at that level, and then you can build a project from there using that. And so that's a good way to step into something. But that's just if you're going down the web development path. If you want to become more of a data scientist or machine learning or these other avenues, it's going to be a different set of skills. So I can't give you I could give you a list of here's what you would want to learn in order to become a good data scientist. You could learn stuff like pandas and matplotlib and statistical packages. There's a lot of stuff. It, again, sort of depends on what you want to do. So that is a path on that way. And how long that's going to take you is going to vary on how dedicated you are, how much of, there are points at which in your journey where some of this information will just click. And you'll be like, oh, I finally get it. I was not a good developer by any stretch of the imagination in college. It just didn't stick with me. Partly because I was learning C++, not a good first language to learn. Thankfully, you don't have to go that route. There's much better languages out there to start with. So your journey, your own personal journey could vary. But if you pursue that stuff, you build up your knowledge, and you start working on, if your aim is to get hired, that is a different direction as well, then you need to start building up a portfolio, working on projects, demonstrate to others that you have the skills. It's one thing to internalize that knowledge in your head, but you will find that just in doing a project, you will discover what you thought you knew and what you really know. That's what I found. Hopefully that answers your question, Leo. That's a really good one and a pretty common one. So I know that might take a little while to get the translation, but if you can piece that together, that's my thoughts. All right, so where were we? We were trying to get this going, and we hit an error here. And what was the problem? So it's GraphViz again. So the problem probably is that we now have a new version of GraphViz or something like that. So these paths that are in here are not right. So let's look in ls opt homebrew seller GraphViz. Yeah, now we're on 705. Okay. Well, let's change these numbers to 7.0.5. I really hope that they fix whatever's going on here, because it's pretty annoying to have not have the right headers and stuff. And this is hardcore advanced mode for I'm not even going to explain what all these things are. If you're not familiar with C flags and LD flags, don't worry about it for now. Making progress. Did everything get installed? It seems like it will. Hey, cool. Then we can get rid of that notice information. We can do a pip upgrade pip. Make it be quiet. Still have the same problem, so let's try committing again. Now we're going to create a new pre-commit environment for ourselves that should be based on 3.11, and with any luck, it will make Bandit not give us an error message because tomlib should be available, and hopefully it will have detected that. Yeah, Bandit now passed, so great. Got rid of that thing. We're good to go there. All right, let's go back to that users model file. Users models. Nope. Stop. Users models. Okay. And I think it was complaining about line 14. All right. So that's what I just thought. All right. You win. Let's say C above. Check for details. That should fit it in there. I could have also just added on no QA, but then I'm afraid it'd go bigger than I want to for what it's ignoring because it's at the class level. All right, finally. Fix more of 762. We chip away at it. Gosh, I'll be done with it another 2 years, right? But we've upgraded to Python 3.11. That's all done. What else should we do? Another commit here. That should show up. Yep. So I want to start a project. I probably don't want to start a project this evening. But maybe next time I should come with a mindset of we should begin a project rather than just continuing to nibble at this list. And I think the one that's most ready is probably this one. Yeah. I might have described this one before. Let's see, do I have my model diagram? Ooh, here's an interesting question. Nope. Make model? No, was it models? Make graph is? Oh, come on. What was the target? Graph. Make graph. All right, and then we're going to open models PNG. So here's the entire set of models for my application. It's getting to be quite a large set. And I know that's hard to see. Let me expand it a little bit here. Can't move easily. All right, I can go up and down. I don't know how to go side to side on my scroll wheel. Nope. Control. Nope. There we go. Shift key with the scroll wheel. So in my app somewhere, I have this notion of a resource. Here it is, in the corner. So a resource is like, and if you've never joined my stream before, I'm building a homeschool application. It's meant to be a scheduling tool for homeschool families. My family is one that uses it. And so it dynamically builds a schedule of what the family has to do each week. That's the core functionality. But there's other functionality that helps support it that my wife has asked for over the years and my customers have asked for. One of those things is this notion of a resource. This is the name I gave to it, but it really represents like a textbook or a workbook or music CDs or anything that is associated with a course that is something that the school administrator, the teacher, wants to track related to a course. And the feedback that I got on this issue was to have the ability to take one of these resources and associate it with a task. And the use case is pretty sensible, and we can describe it in pretty short order. It's a common thing to have in a course that you're going to do a book. Like you want to do a whole book, and you want to break it down to maybe we're going to read a chapter a day or a chapter a week, whatever the frequency is. But the number of tasks that you want to be happening for the homeschool would be the book and then a breakdown of that book. And so what the user was requesting, one of my customers was requesting, was can we associate that resource with a specific task, the thing that needs to be done? Because right now, the user can create the book, like say Tom Sawyer, have that in English class, and then has to make a set of tasks that copy Tom Sawyer into the task name each and every time. And what she was requesting was the ability to say, like, you know what, actually I would much rather just say chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and link it to that resource. And so if I do that, if I create that link, then what shows up in the app is Tom Sawyer dash or colon, whatever, chapter 1. And I guess I have the example here if you've been reading the text while I've been explaining this. But this is she was okay with this strategy here. And so what I need to do is make it possible to have an optional, a nullable foreign key link from a task to a course resource. And if that link exists, then do the display differently. That's kind of the core feature. And we would have to update the places where that task gets displayed so that we get a little smarter about that. But right now, the task model does not have any kind of foreign key to the course resource, and that's where we're going with that. So this is a functionality that shouldn't be too hard, but the things that make this kind of stuff challenging that you don't always get if you're working through a new application is this task state has to be it is already out there. We have to do a migration of an existing set of tasks. And so you need to be careful with that stuff. Like if you have a database, you don't want to screw that up and really mess up your users. I'm really upset if I lost their data or did something like that. So we have to do that safely. So it means there's going to be a data migration involved. Thankfully, since this thing starting off with null, that it can be, the new field can be added pretty easily and not really have any chance of messing up data. It's just going to be a new column in the database, and Postgres should handle that just fine. So I think that's going to be the next project that we work on. We'll be a little bit tighter about how I'm doing the streams for a few weeks. We'll continue to do Exercism stuff. So our next exercise will be one of, I think, on the unpacking stuff. And we'll probably have 2 more weeks of going through the syllabus, and then we'll get to more interesting problems beyond there. In fact, why don't we look ahead? So the project, the part we're going to do SaaS related, will be related to that resource change that they're requesting. And then we can look at to what's coming up with these over the next few months as well. So we have 14 completed, which go to the bottom. And then I think where they start getting outside Yeah, see how these say learning exercise? These are probably tied to that syllabus, locomotive engineer. Let's see if we're right. So what is the exercise for this? Locomotive engineer and Ellen's alien game. Yeah, okay. So these are the last two that are purely about that learning mode of, do we understand the basic concepts of variable unpacking and classes? And then it switches. Suddenly these become easy problems of, some of these we'll be able to knock out very quickly, like reversing a string. So we might do a handful of these in a row, especially if they turn out to be like super easy. But they begin to build up speed and get to be more interesting. Like Armstrong numbers are kind of cool. And then you implement these things in Python. And then you get to see, like, what I think is really fascinating is when you see the interesting solutions that come about. Because some of these things are tricky on a conceptual level, that they require our brains to figure them out. And then when you go to the solutions, there are some really unique things that this community has put together. So that will be the path forward here, is 2 more of these learning ones, and then the fun stuff. I think the stuff that is more fun starts to begin. But I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you all for joining in. Hopefully you learned something. If you do me a favor, if you're still hanging around, give me a like on the stream after it's done, or if you haven't already, I guess that's right, you're already here on YouTube, so just a like or a comment or a subscription, all of those kind of things help. I do appreciate your conversation and your feedback, and I will check you next week. Take care.